It is a good time to be a Warhammer fan, and between all the different titles around, it's hard to choose what to play. But if you need a bit more WoW in your day, there's a Warhammer game I think everyone is sleeping on, and it actually crumps. This game deserves another proper look, so let's show why I think it's great. This is Warhammer 40k Speed Freaks. It's fast, it's loud, and it does exactly what boys should do: go faster and cause wah. Speed Freaks is at its best when everything is exploding around you. Everyone is boosting, ramming, firing, and trying to claw their way to the next scrap pile. It feels messy, noisy, and completely orky in the best Warhammer way possible. You want more Daka? Hop in the Growth Mega Tank or a looted wagon and start crumping anything that moves. These things spit fire, rockets, and everything in between in every direction. It scratches that battlefield chaos we never get enough of. But if you want to go faster, the Shock Jump Dragster is pure orc style, reckless speed mixed with unstable shock tech to zap around and annoy anything in your way. You can also grab the Megatrex Scrapjet, a nose-drilled death trap that exists purely to ram straight through other vehicles at full blast. There's a whole roster of orcish rides in Speed Freaks, each loud, each deadly, and each perfect for causing a proper wah on wheels. What makes Speed Freaks so good for me is that it nails orc culture, behavior, and mayhem better than any 40k title. Developers didn't treat orcs as jokes or throwaway enemies, they lean into their art, their noise, and attitude in a way that feels instantly right the moment you start playing. Each match feels chaotic and fun, no matter what. I end up grinning through most of my games actually, even when I'm getting crumped, which is something I find really rare in a PvP game, but here, surprisingly, I enjoy it a lot. And it's the small things that push it over the top. You can fire off a VA command mid-match, and boys on your team will shout it straight back at you. It's simple, but it makes the whole thing feel like an actual mob roaring forward instead of just another casual lobby. The community is totally on board as well, and it's what elevates a game into a real experience, much like Deep Rock Galactic. The voiceovers, the orky slang, the music, the phenomenal art design, everything feels handmade by boys who care more about going faster than surviving the trip. If you're a fan of greenskins, it's hard to ignore just how much love went into making this game. Now, getting into specifics why it feels so good, apart from the superb atmosphere, driving in combat also feels really well designed. Each of them is handled very differently, with their own twist on weapons and abilities, rewarding both driving or battling others depending on what you prefer. It's hard to put into words really, but you know that feeling when a game just doesn't feel right, when hits don't land properly or movement feels floaty. Speed Freaks does the exact opposite. The animations, impacts, and sounds all convince you that these monsters have some serious weight. Driving is smooth, and firing the big guns have that proper punch. This is where the existing game modes also really shine. In Death Rally, you play around checkpoints where you're supposed to race each other in a localized track for more points, but you can also blow each other up and focus on crumping instead. Kill Convoy pushes this even further. Two giant stumpas march across the battlefield, and each team tries to slow the other down by delivering bombs straight into them. It turns the whole match into a moving front line, and if you enjoy the tankier vehicles, this is where they really come alive. Now combine all of this with having 10 different vehicles for everyone to choose, with secondary weapons you can unlock, and you'll find that there's a surprising amount of strategy and teamwork you can have, revealing a good amount of depth hiding behind all this casual fun. For instance, in one of the latest updates, they've also introduced the Deathcopter, a flying vehicle to annoy everyone around with, and my first impressions were that this gotta be too easy and broken. But to my surprise, it's really well balanced and thought out, which speaks volumes about the overall design, I think. It makes me want to see even more unique vehicles and what the devs could do with them. Speed Freaks also has a brand new update releasing today called the Creation Mode. You might remember the same game I do called Trackmania that I used to play a lot in my teens. That's the vibe I got when they started teasing this mode. In Creation Mode, players are able to create custom maps where the goal is to create the most twisted and fun tracks to complete, challenging others to try and reach the goal or crump each other trying. Already at the time of release today, they said to have over 100 different maps released thanks to community members, featuring a freebooter ship arena or a giant greenskin themed fortress and many other cool creations. The devs seem especially proud of how easy this editor is to use. You can build a track, test it instantly, and even make changes live while others are racing through it. It has a lot of potential, but it's still new, so we will cover it more deeply in another video. Needless to say, creation mode looks great, and if the future brings support for creating PvP maps as well, it could solve the challenge these games face of having to introduce a constant flow of new maps. And lastly, one of the features I didn't expect to enjoy this much: customization. Speedfreaks gives you a surprising amount of freedom to treat your vehicles almost like proper orc miniatures, just digital. As you play, you unlock new rides and piles of scrap to bolt onto them. Wheels, armor plates, trophies, glyphs, all the things boys would weld together if left alone for 5 minutes. And the coolest part I found was almost every inch of your machine can be painted. You can either use the existing tribe colors or create your own variation of them with 10 different paint slots, while most other games only have 2 or 3. I just found this little detail really awesome as someone who loves tinkering with skins and colors, and here you can fine-tune even the smallest pieces if you like. You can also customize your orc. There are different skins, outfits, and emotes, though there's less freedom here than with vehicles. From what I've seen, your driver doesn't actually show up inside your car during matches either, only on victory and death screens, which is a bit of a bummer, but the options are still fun to unlock. Either way, the customization options are pretty cool, I would say, and unlocking them is all free as far as I know. You get an in-game season pass progression immediately, and you just have to play to unlock everything. Overall, I think Speedfreaks is a really fun and well-made game that just surprised me isn't being talked about more often. Timing is also probably a reason for that, since other Warhammer games released at the same time, like Space Marine 2 getting all the spotlight, but I've also read the launch wasn't exactly perfect here either. I believe the game used to be free to play at launch with microtransactions that not everyone liked. Instead, it is now a buy-to-play title where everything else is free in-game, which was a risky choice for them, but nowadays I think I prefer this model a lot more. It has no FOMO elements, and you can just play whenever you like. They also updated a lot of the systems, fixed bugs and connection issues that annoyed people away, and the game feels pretty flawless to play in my eyes, or at least I haven't faced any issues, and it's been smooth crumping. The player population could be better for sure, but there's always a few full lobbies that you can join and there's people to play with. Maybe the only thing I wish it had more is even more vehicles and customizations to unlock in the future, or have more secondary weapon options like some of them do, so choose from 3 or 4 different weapons. But that's exactly the type of content I think that can be added as the game keeps being developed and gets more players. There's still a lot of unused green skin contraptions, though I wonder if they could introduce something like a kilocan since it's more of a Valkyr than a car. But hey, they introduced Defcoptas, so why not? That's exactly why you should try it, so we get to experience even crazier vehicles and more wah. So that's Speedfreaks. It's a really fun game, and honestly, it deserves more players giving it a chance, as I feel it's way too good to have such a niche audience. If you made it this far, drop a Y in the comments below so I know you stuck around, and if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, and I'll see if we can cover more about Speedfreaks. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you boys in the next one.